top story on Belarus, as the country's President Alexander Lukashenko on Friday said that he would not remain in the post he has held for more than 26 years if the country adopts a new constitution. President Lukashenko confirmed that he will step down once another constitution comes into force. However, he did not describe the amendments he's seeking for, giving a timeline for the adoption of a new constitution. This indeed is a huge development for the country, which has witnessed massive protests in the past few months.
Никакую конституцию я под себя не делаю. В новой конституции я уже с вами президентом работать не буду. Поэтому успокойтесь, спокойно это переносите.
The Belarusian leader has repeatedly raised the prospect of a new constitution since the August 9 presidential election in which he won a sixth term. Lukashenko has promised to reform the constitution to reduce the full powers of the president. Belarusian president has been facing terrible backlash from the opposition, who has alleged the August 9 election was rigged. The protests and demonstrations have rocked the streets of Belarusian capital Minsk since August this year. The opposition views the talk of constitutional revisions as a delaying tactic aimed at weakening the momentum of the protests. Belarusian authorities have called for a National Assembly of People by January 2021 to discuss the proposed constitutional changes. For a perspective on this news story, earlier we spoke with Fred Weir, a Russian affairs expert from Moscow. Listen in to what he has to say.
He hasn't, I mean, we do not have those details. It's one big thing that's wrong with this protest and out of this proposal of Lukashenko's. He isn't putting forward any details, but the idea would be a different power structure, perhaps a more parliamentary state, and no doubt it would contain clauses that protect former presidents. That seems to be a rather fashionable thing to do in this part of the world these days. So, but I think the main thing would be some new job. Lukashenko would leave while still very much staying. I think that would be the basic idea behind all this activity. Because he's been a major pain in the neck to them all the time. They want to move ahead with this union state. As I said, it exists, but mainly on paper. Russia wants, for instance, that Russian capital should be allowed to invest in Belarusian industry. That's been prevented by Lukashenko. He controls the Belarusian economy and uses it for his own paternalistic purposes. The Russians are getting quite frustrated with that. Another thing Lukashenko has done, especially over recent years, is play footsie with the West. He plays that game of promising to be Russia's best friend and then turning around and accepting aid and other kind of cooperation with the West. He's very much, from the Russian point of view, unreliable partner, and they're clearly they're fed up with him.